So over the next few videos, I want to talk about an influence that is very significant for my work, for me personally as well, not simply professionally. I don't remember when I was first exposed to the 7 Habits by Covey, but I don't think I fully understood at that time how really important they really were. And I did eventually. And so what I want to do in these next series of videos is I want to break down kind of the key parts there. The original book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Another great book is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens, written by Covey's son. Another book by Covey's son, The 7 Habits of Happy Kids, which I also think very highly of. And then The 7 Habits of Highly Effective Families, which to me was a little bit of a repackaging that didn't end up being quite as good or quite as necessary. But these 3 versions, the original and then those 2 versions for those target audiences, I really recommend not simply listening to me talk about them, but to access them yourselves, maybe after you've listened to my introduction to the different parts, but I think they're really, really well worth it. The 4th of the habits is the first in the 2nd section, that is the public victory. So this has to do with interactions with other people. So we first need to take responsibility for ourselves, get our own kind of house in order, and then we start to move outward in our interactions with other people. And so the 4th habit is to think win-win. When we say think win-win, we are thinking relationally. And I think it's a big mistake to say we can do win-win in everything, even relationally. And I don't know that Covey had the same mind as I do on that. I believe that relationally we can be win-win most of the time. But in life, in many contexts, we can't be win-win. There is competition. Lots of times that competition is good, it's worthwhile, it's helpful. Okay? But we're talking here relationally. And you can think of it as myself, the other person, or myself and the relationship. So sometimes it's going to be I win, the relationship loses. Or I lose, the relationship wins. We both lose, we both win. And I really do believe that most of the time we can be in the I win and the relationship wins. And I think there's a very, very small number of times, although it's possible, for both myself and the relationship to lose, maybe even to have to lose, because of the way that things are structured. But we have the ability to do much of that structuring ourselves by looking at, again, the resources that we have and our priorities. Covey makes it clear that compromise is not win-win. Compromise is actually lose-lose. Right? Because then neither you nor the other party or the relationship, as the case may be, actually gets the intended goal. So thinking win-win lots of times requires flexibility and creativity, to not be so concrete in one's view of things that I can only see one way for this to be. Right? Not only in terms of the goal, sometimes we want to modify that goal a little bit in a way that is still a win, but also in terms of how to achieve that goal. Because we sometimes get very single-minded about this thing that I want can only be achieved in this way. And that is an error in many cases. So looking at how is it, in this coming week especially, that I can look for ways that I can win and that the other people with whom I'm in relationship can also win.